I'm really kind of processing all these readings this morning. I didn't read these readings before Mass, and I was praying this morning, and I was asking the Lord, kind of in a roundabout way, I was asking Him what He has planned for us as a parish. And then I changed my question more to, what do we need to do to be prepared for what you have for us? We don't always have to know what the Lord has in front of us. We just need to know where to put our feet for the next step, and to be ready for that. And the readings here are very consoling to me, because it's a huge step in an answer to that prayer. But I'm also very distracted by it right now, because I'm just kind of like, I just want to sit down and shut up and think about this for a bit. But we can think about it together out loud, huh? So, the words of St. Augustine came to mind as the psalm was being read. My heart is restless until it rests in you, my God. Right? So, I find that we're so distracted with like the novel things of the world. Humanity's been the same from the beginning. God's been the same from the beginning. Regardless of what technology has been available, regardless of what foods have been available, what medicine has been available, what political thought has been available, regardless of what economy has been in force, regardless of what luxuries are enjoyed, humanity's been the same. Saints have gone to heaven who have never known how to read. Saints have gone to heaven before they knew what writing was, right? Who is it that Saint Cyril, right, went into Slavic lands and gave them the Cyrillic alphabet, right? Those people, when they were first learning how to read and write, were able to be just as holy as anybody is today. And the first line of the psalm here is, O Lord, my heart is not proud, nor haughty my eyes. I busy not myself with great things, nor with things too sublime for me. Nay, rather, I have stilled and quieted my soul like a weaned child on its mother's lap. So my soul is within me. There's this invitation that the Lord gives us that a lot of times we can't hear because we're so busy with other things. Regardless of where we are in our lives, we're able to find ways to occupy ourselves and to distract ourselves and to busy ourselves. It's not good to be busy. It's good to be efficient. It's good to be productive. It's good to be helpful. That doesn't mean busy. There's a difference. And this is really the reason that the Lord gives us the Sabbath day, to remind us that we're meant to be free from toil. We're meant to be free from labor. We're meant to be free from busyness. It doesn't mean that we're meant to be free from work. Right? It doesn't mean that we're meant to be free from doing anything other than sort of becoming a vegetable, right? But the way that we do it. Instead of driving forward and trying to find the next thing to amuse myself with, or driving forward to find the next thing to applaud myself for my productivity in, rather let my soul say to itself, I have stilled and quieted myself like a weaned child in the lap of the Father. That I'm content in the Lord. And I think that's the first step to receiving what the Lord has to answer for me, and the answer to my prayer is, the first thing He says is, be at peace, be still. Right? Moses on the mountain, pinned between the Egyptian army and the Red Sea, the people came to him terrified, and the Lord said to Moses to calm them. These Egyptians you see today, they will not be seen tomorrow. I will fight for you. You have but to stand still. I'll do the work. He does this time and again with Gideon in his fight against the Midianites, the brothers Maccabees against the lineage of Alexander and the Greeks. Time and again, the Lord provides for what is needed for his people, even though they themselves could never hope to provide for it themselves. And that begins in that trusting peace in the Lord. I don't need to be a busybody. I don't need to be a gossip. I don't need to be a bully. I don't need to be. I don't need to fight and to scrap and to strive and to manipulate and to drive. I can be at peace with the Lord in a receptive posture to see what he wants to bring me, for me to do what he wants me to do. Ultimately, that comes back around to the question, Lord, how do you want us to dispose ourselves for what you have? I would really like to know what he has in store for us as a parish, because, as I've said before, I think there's something actually on the horizon for this community. But I don't need to know what it is. What I definitely want to make sure of, though, is that I and we are disposed to be flexible and dynamic and receptive when that comes. And Paul's letter to the Romans here is just so unusually concise, right? We're one body, though, made up of many different parts. So let's examine who we are individually to see how what the Lord has given me individually can be contributed to the whole, so that the whole can be a robust, a full-statured human being, right? If you prophesy, do so in proportion to the faith, right? So a lot of times you get these whack job prophet sort of folks, right? That all these older women seem to get taken in by. I don't know why that's the case, but I regularly have to tell older women, stop reading that stuff. It's not good for you, because it goes outside of the confines of the faith. It invents things, right? If you're going to prophesy, do it within the proportions of the faith. What that means is within the context of and obedience to the faith, right? Prophesy in terms of Christ and not in terms of fear. If ministry, then in ministering, right? If one is a teacher, then teach. If one exhorts, exhort. And then he kind of shifts it up here from the tautology that he'd been using. If one contributes, then do so in generosity, right? Don't just do so from the manner that you've become comfortable with, right? Like every month I get my stipend comes into my account, and I immediately put my monthly contribution to the poor into a separate account to be used when it's needed. But I've gotten comfortable with that. It's manageable. It's easy, right? And perhaps in my small part, with my small numbers that I see that go in and immediately out of my bank account every month, maybe I should be able to do more. If one contributes, do so generously. And we all need to contribute, right? It's one of the precepts of the church: contribute generously to the needs of the material needs of the church. If one is over others and with diligence, you guys, we have to pray for Father Tim. Right? He is our pastor. He is over us. We need to pray that he's diligent in his duties, because he's going to be the one that draws us into whatever it is that the Lord has in store for us, right? He can't give up. We can't let him quit. We can't let him get tired. We can't let him stay up there and play video games all day long, right? We've got to pray that he's diligent. If one does acts of mercy, to do so with cheerfulness, right? If you're asked by a priest or a member of the parish or the Lord himself because there's a need, don't be grumpy about having to go, right? This happens to me a lot. Like, I've got my day planned, and then somebody's dying in the hospital. And you'd think to yourself, somebody's dying, surely it's not a big deal if you have to go to the hospital. Are you kidding me? I don't want to drive to Paulding Regional Hospital, right? But when that opportunity comes up, it's like I have to stop and say, you know what? There's a bigger thing at play here, and I'm being invited by the Lord to do this. I was able to go to somebody's house yesterday and hear a confession of a Protestant man who was dying to come into full communion with the church, say Mass at that home, give him confirmation and First Holy Eucharist. He's going to die a Catholic in the full state of grace with all the sacraments that the Lord came to give. What an honor, right? Who gets to do that? This guy, right? Because the Lord has given me the privilege to do that. But I have to do it. I have to remain disposed to the Lord. Ad sum, here I am, Lord. I have to remain disposed to him all day long. Because as a Christian disciple, my time is not mine. It's his. And at any moment of the day, he could ask me to serve him in some way that I was not planning on doing, right? So if one does acts of mercy, to do it with cheerfulness. So this is a very general sort of framework that Paul is giving to the church. It's really nothing more than saying, the Lord has given you gifts. The gifts he's given you to do them. And when you do them well. Right? Each one of us, every single one of us, has something to contribute, not to the world's economy, but to the economy of grace. Not to our national society, but to the kingdom of heaven, for the salvation of souls. God has given each one of us a unique gift that will contribute, even if in only some small way, to the salvation of souls. How grateful will I be for the person who had contributed 1% of the remaining 100% I need for my salvation. I would be as grateful to them as I would be to those who contributed the 99% in their assistance to me of my own salvation. Because without it, where would I be? It doesn't matter how small your gifts are or how insignificant you think they are. Contribute them with a robust generosity. And like the widow's mite, the Lord will say of that small contribution, it is greater than all the rest. Right? So discern. This is your job. Right? This is what we have to get ourselves ready for. Discern what is your gift. Begin using it. It's going to be messy. You're not going to know exactly how to do it right away. Just start doing it. Right? And if you're already doing it, if you already contribute, maybe you can contribute more. If you're already feeding the poor, maybe you can find a new, more effective way of doing that. Right? Rather than giving a fish, maybe we shift into teaching men how to fish. Right? If we teach, I teach and I exhort. That's kind of my thing. How can I refine that? How can I do that more often, and how can I do it better? That's a question I have to ask myself, because these are my gifts, but they're not good enough yet. And I'm okay with that. You should be okay with where you are as well, but we have to ask the question, how can I do better for the Lord? Because I love him. Not because I'm driven and compelled and feel guilty and feel burdened, but how can I do it because, man, he is so good. And I am at peace in him. And in that peace, I have this freedom and openness to be able to fill it with all that he has to give me and all that I have to give to others because of what he's given me. Right? And Paul goes on to say, do not grow slack in zeal. Be fervent in spirit and serve the Lord. Rejoice in hope, endure in affliction, persevere in prayer, contribute to the needs of the holy ones, exercise hospitality. That was a nice little line there from Paul, contribute to the needs of the holy ones. He didn't forget me. But here he says, don't grow slack in zeal, but be fervent in the spirit. Other apostles will say, never grow tired in doing what is good, brethren. Right? So many times we can say, I've been doing this for so long and I've just gotten tired of doing it. And that's fair. Mix it up. Don't quit doing it. Just do it a different way. Find a new way of doing it. How many of you guys have gotten stale in your prayer routine from time to time? Mix it up. You're not bound to pray this particular way or that particular way. If the rosary no longer has savor for you, that doesn't mean that you hate the Blessed Mother, right? Start saying the little office of the Blessed Mother. Wear her scapular. Just pray the Angelus at 6, 12, and 6. You're not abandoning Mary because you have lost the savor of the rosary. You still love her, right? I've only started praying the rosary daily again as a matter of my daily devotion, and it was because I felt called to it. I felt invited back to it, and it's been delightful. Before that, I've always found it a burden to pray the rosary. Now, not love our Blessed Mother, of course. Remember what I'm saying here. Right? Love her very much. I pray the Angelus. I wear her scapular. But the rosary, and I'd pray the rosary, but it was always kind of burdensome to me. But now it's delightful again. So I've pivoted, right? This is what we have to do in all of our life as a Christian disciple, so that as each one of us grows stronger on our own, when we're bound back together as a rope with so many cords, we'll be even more fit to sort of be tied to that anchor of hope in the midst of the storm of this world, and to help keep the ship of the church on its course.